GreenSports.net, simulcast on the Triple Life High School Sports Network, presented by First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County. Nicholas Callas with you here alongside me, Nolan Porterfield. The second half of girls soccer between Mount Pleasant and Waynesburg Central coming up right now. 40 minutes back on the clock. Waynesburg Central leads 2-0. Waynesburg Central with immediate possession. The ball is kicked away by Mount Pleasant down by the near sideline. That's going to go out of bounds. Waynesburg Central retains possession. For Waynesburg Central, it's going to be a throw-in down by the near sideline, still at midfield. Play resumes. Ball now on the third of Mount Pleasant. Waynesburg Central continuing to be aggressive. Ball is kicked away, though, by Mount Pleasant. Ball back in midfield. It was an attempted pickup by Kaylee Pell, but she couldn't. And now the Waynesburg defense kicks it back into midfield. Here's Carson Rivardo now for Mount Pleasant, kicking it down now by the far sideline. An attempted through ball goes to nobody. Waynesburg Central's defense is going to pick that one up. Callie Gibson had it for a second, but she loses it. Now Mount Pleasant regains possession, still down by the far sideline. It's a 2-on-1. Mount Pleasant trying to keep the ball in, but Waynesburg Central's defense kicks it out down by the end line, and it's going to be a corner kick for Mount Pleasant down by the far sideline.
And already we're starting to see some new names, as we mentioned. Callie Gibson, now one of the players coming in, trying to create some scoring opportunities here for Mount Pleasant. Unfortunately, right now they can't seem to get a lot going.
The ball in is kicked away by Waynesburg Central, but Mount Pleasant regains possession. The ball's in the third of Waynesburg Central. Mount Pleasant kicking it around a little bit. It was Cassidy Fullman who has it. Cassidy Fullman in the middle of the field, still in Waynesburg Central's third. Marissa Garn had it for a second, but kicked it off a Waynesburg Central defender, But it's still in the third of Waynesburg Central. A couple headers later, it's Garn kicking it in, but intercepted by Waynesburg Central. And now Waynesburg Central moving it back toward midfield. Ashlyn Basinger had it for a second, but she kicked it off of Mount Pleasant players. So now the ball back in midfield. Now Mount Pleasant once again getting an attack. Mount Pleasant in midfield. It's Carson Rivardo. Rivardo kicks it, but it's off of a Waynesburg Central defender. And it goes out of bounds on the left side of the net, down on the end line. It went off of Waynesburg Central. So it's going to be a near side corner kick for Mount Pleasant, and taking the corner kick is Emma Blaker. We're in the 43rd minute of this game. It's 2-0. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant, but Emma Blaker, the sophomore midfielder, is going to take the corner kick. It's an attempted cross in that misses everybody's head and moves toward the far sideline. Waynesburg Central's defense, in an attempt to clear it, it goes off Mount Pleasant's offensive player, out of bounds on the far sideline, still in Waynesburg Central's third of the field, and Waynesburg Central is going to get a throw in. Ball still in the possession of Waynesburg Central. Still down by the far sideline, Waynesburg Central weaving and bobbing the ball away. Mount Pleasant putting up a tiny attack, but Waynesburg Central ultimately still has control. Now it's moving toward midfield. The ball's moving toward midfield. An attempted through ball by Waynesburg Central is a bit too far for the intended receiver. And now the ball's in Mount Pleasant's territory. It was Ray Kiowski. Kiowski couldn't do much with it, but it's rebounded by Kylie Sin. Sin was coming in with it, but she kicked it off of a Mount Pleasant player, and Mount Pleasant regains possession. Now Mount Pleasant bringing it into Waynesburg Central's third of the field. It's a race between two players. An attempted through ball to Megan Liberoni is successful. Liberoni takes a shot. It slips through the hands of Waynesburg Central's goalkeeper, Mackenzie Booth. It goes into the net on the lower right 90. And Mount Pleasant is on the board. It is 2-1. Waynesburg Central still leads Mount Pleasant in the 44th minute of this game.
And Mackenzie Booth's going to want that one back, because this was definitely didn't seem like a very difficult shot to stop. It was a low shot. However, it definitely seemed like it was manageable for the goalkeeper, Booth, and it just slips right under her left arm. She could not get down on it in time, and just like that, Mount Pleasant's on the board. So here we go, Nick. This is what we talked about. Mount Pleasant is now able to sustain a lot of pressure offensively, and now they're going to start causing some problems here for Waynesburg. So hold on to your hat here. This could be a very, very entertaining second half.
Ball still in midfield. Jillian Kiowski scored 2 goals, one in the 8th minute on a penalty kick, and then one in the 34th minute from a 30-yard shot. And that's what made it 2-0 in the first half. Now Mount Pleasant's Megan Liberoni scores in the 44th minute on about a 15-yard shot. Now it's 2-1. Mount Pleasant still trailing Waynesburg Central. Here's Liberoni with it in midfield. The ball's contested in midfield. No clear possession yet. There's Ray Kiowski making some finesse moves. She has possession clearly. Goes out of bounds off of Mount Pleasant on the near sideline. Mount Pleasant's Marissa Garn. Ball thrown in by Waynesburg Central. It's Ray Kiowski. And the ball is whistled dead. It goes out of bounds off of Ray Kiowski, who stands there and says some things to the referees before Mount Pleasant throws it back in from the near sideline. The throw-in attempt is knocked out of bounds by Waynesburg Central's Kylie Sin. Mount Pleasant got another throw-in, and the ball is now back in midfield down by the near sideline. Intercepted by Ray Kiowski. Kiowski kicks it back toward the center of the field, still at midfield. And Waynesburg Central with clear possession, kicking it toward Mount Pleasant's territory. Here comes Jillian Kiowski. She had it for a second, but it was knocked out of bounds by Mount Pleasant, so Waynesburg Central gets a throw-in. Throw-in now from Waynesburg Central's Kylie Sin. Sin's attempted pass was for Ray Kiowski, and now Kiowski has it. Kiowski kicks it back toward midfield. But the pass was too long, and it's intercepted by Mount Pleasant. Here comes Mount Pleasant into Waynesburg Central's third of the field. It was Carson Rivardo. Rivardo had a quick breakaway, but she lost her footing a bit, so she decides to kick it off of Callie Gibson, and it went out of bounds down by the near sideline, so it's going to be a throw-in for Mount Pleasant. Hannah Kaczynski threw it in, but it is intercepted by Waynesburg Central. Waynesburg Central on its own third of the field. There's Waynesburg Central's third, Mount Pleasant's third, and then the neutral third. Ball was intercepted for a second there by Carson Rivardo, but she cannot find the proper footing on the soccer ball. So the ball goes out of bounds on the left side of the net on the end line, so Waynesburg Central is going to get a goal kick. We're in minute 47 of this game, 33:40 left. If you're counting it that way, left in the second half, it's 2-1. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant in this girls' soccer game. This is a WPIAL Class 2A Section 3 girls' soccer matchup. Ball goes out of bounds on the near sideline. Throw in by Hannah Kaczynski. Kaczynski's attempted pass to Mackenzie Leader is mishandled. Leader tries to keep it in bounds, and she does. Mackenzie Leader, for a second, played it, but then the referees, the officials, signal it dead. So the officials are pointing toward the end line in Waynesburg Central's territory, and Waynesburg Central lost possession of it. According to the officials, it went out of bounds on Waynesburg Central, out of bounds on the end line, so Mount Pleasant's going to get a corner kick. It's Megan Liberoni attempting to cross it in. No header there. It was attempted by a couple different Mount Pleasant players, and now Mount Pleasant sends it into Waynesburg Central's territory. As a matter of fact, past Waynesburg Central's territory, it goes out of bounds on the end line, so Waynesburg Central going to get a goal kick. Mount Pleasant playing more aggressively in this second half. Already scored a goal. Megan Liberoni scored in the 44th minute. Megan Liberoni is a senior striker that cut the lead in half. Waynesburg Central had 2 goals in the first half. Both were by Jillian Kiowski, the senior. Ball was in midfield. Now Mount Pleasant tries a through ball, but it's no good. Tipped off of the hands of Mackenzie Booth. Stays in Waynesburg Central's third of the field. And now Waynesburg Central kicks it back toward midfield. The ball is contested at midfield. Mount Pleasant playing nice defense. An attempted through ball by Ray Kiowski is a little bit too far. And right by the 18-yard marker, the goalkeeper for Mount Pleasant, Tiffany Zelmore, picks it up and boots it back toward midfield. Now the ball contested in midfield. Ball's still in midfield. Now Waynesburg Central pushing it further toward Mount Pleasant's territory. Ball on the far sideline now. Waynesburg Central has clear control. It's in Mount Pleasant's third of the field now before a nice defensive clear by Mount Pleasant. Ball back toward midfield. Ball still contested. Mount Pleasant pushing it further toward Waynesburg Central's side now. It is Mackenzie Leader down by the far sideline, dribbling it, attempting a through ball. Leader still has it down by the far sideline, tries to keep it in play. She does keep it in play, but it's intercepted by Waynesburg Central. Now the ball goes back toward midfield. Ball still in midfield as we're reaching the 50th minute of this game. It's still 2-1 Waynesburg Central leads. Now a shot by Waynesburg Central off of the hands of Tiffany Zelmore. She's panic running, and she picks it up before Waynesburg Central can capitalize. It was an attempted 40-yard shot by Waynesburg Central down by the far sideline. But Mount Pleasant prevents the score. Now the ball's kicked, cleared, back toward midfield.
And remember that save, Nick, because if this game does end up getting tied, it could have come down to that play right there. A huge save there by the goalkeeper, Zelmore.
Waynesburg Central in Mount Pleasant's territory now. It's Sophia Ganofsky, it's Ashlyn Basinger, Basinger dribbling in, but Mount Pleasant plays nice defense and clears it back toward midfield. Ball on the far sideline of the field. And we are now in the 50th minute. 2-1's the score. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant. This is a girls' soccer game. You are listening to the greensports.net simulcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, presented by First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County. Waynesburg Central has it in midfield, and now the ball is contested. Mount Pleasant trying to get it back. Mount Pleasant now has clear possession in midfield. It is Carson Rivardo. Rivardo in the middle of the field, now dribbling toward Waynesburg Central's third of the field. Rivardo now tries to bounce it back to the far sideline, but you can't do it. Waynesburg Central intercepts, and Waynesburg Central kicks it back, clears it into Mount Pleasant's territory. Now Waynesburg Central has possession in Mount Pleasant's territory. Mount Pleasant trying to play defense. The ball's getting closer to the net. Shot by Waynesburg Central is saved by Tiffany Zelmore. No bounces. She picked it up. She caught it in midair and made the save. Now the ball's cleared toward midfield. Megan Liberoni over to Cassidy Fullman, and now a through ball attempt on a return pass to Liberoni, but that ball's picked up by the near sideline inside the box by Mackenzie Booth, the goalkeeper of Waynesburg Central. Now the ball's booted back toward midfield. It was a header back into Waynesburg Central's third of the field, and now a shot by Mount Pleasant's Carson Rivardo, but Carson Rivardo, no good. Again, a save by Mackenzie Booth of Waynesburg Central, and Mackenzie Booth is going to kick it back toward midfield and clear it altogether. We're in minute 52 of this game. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant 2-1. Waynesburg Central in black jerseys with white numbers, and Mount Pleasant in white jerseys with blue numbers. Ball's kicked toward the far sideline, still in midfield, no clear possession yet. Ball still being contested, moving slightly toward Waynesburg Central's third of the field, but Waynesburg Central intercepts it right as I say that, and moves it back toward midfield. Waynesburg Central with it, still in midfield, and now Mount Pleasant has it, still kind of contested in midfield. Ball kicked from Carr now. Mount Pleasant brings it into Waynesburg Central's side, but Waynesburg Central's defense plays the ball well, keeps it in play, and eventually clears it, and it's back toward midfield. Ball still in midfield. Now Waynesburg Central's Ashlyn Basinger has it. Basinger moving toward Mount Pleasant's third of the field. Basinger almost at it for a second, but it's cleared away by Mount Pleasant back toward midfield. Now Waynesburg Central's defense grabs hold of the ball with the feet, and now Waynesburg Central moving it back toward Mount Pleasant once again, now down by the near sideline, but Mount Pleasant once again sends it away, out of bounds down by the near sideline. The attempted pass reception by Megan Liberoni is mishandled, goes out of bounds on the near side. Waynesburg Central gets a throw in. The ball still in midfield. Both teams just kicking it back and forth at this point. Ball goes out of bounds down by the near sideline off Waynesburg Central, so it's going to be a throw in for Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant's Carson Rivardo throws it in. The ball back in midfield. Ball passed. The ball still in midfield for Mount Pleasant in the middle of the field. Pass comes in to Megan Liberoni, but Liberoni can't hold on to it. It's kicked away by Waynesburg Central's defense, picked up by Marissa Garn. Garn kicks it further in. There's Cassidy Fullman, a through ball attempt to Liberoni. Megan Liberoni down by the end line, the left end line, down by the near sideline. And now the shot attempt is wide right by Cassidy Fullman. Cassidy Fullman, the sophomore midfielder, kicks it out of bounds down by the end line on the right side of the net, and Waynesburg Central will get a goal kick.
That's a tough break there for Fulman because she had a small window where she could get the shot away and just missed the cage there with the left foot. It was a good kick. Unfortunately, just didn't have the accuracy on it, and the score remains 2-1. One thing I will say about Mount Pleasant right now is they are playing with a lot more urgency, and you want to see that from them, especially with the way they're trailing.
We're in the 55th minute of this game. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant 2-1. Ball still contested at midfield. It's down by the far sideline. No clear possession yet. Mount Pleasant now inching its way toward Waynesburg Central's territory. Down by the far sideline. Mount Pleasant getting closer in Waynesburg Central's territory. But then it's kicked back toward midfield. Waynesburg Central's defense has done a pretty good job of keeping the ball out of its own third of the field to this point in the game. Here comes Waynesburg Central now down to Mount Pleasant's side, but Mount Pleasant, at the same token, has played defense pretty well against Waynesburg Central in this second half. Ball still in midfield. It's picked up by Cassidy Fullman. Cassidy Fullman dribbling down by the far sideline. Pass over to Mackenzie Leader, still down by the far sideline. She's dribbling now toward the middle of the field. Mackenzie Leader bringing it back toward the near sideline. Leader still dribbling down by the near sideline. She's making it toward the corner. Leader passes over to Leader, tries to cross it in, and it went off of Ray Kijalski, almost went in the net. Ray Kijalski just kind of kicked it away, and it goes out of bounds down by the end line. So it's going to be a Mount Pleasant corner kick from the near corner. The corner kick goes away, but it's picked up again by Garn, and she kicks it over the crossbar and past the end line. So Waynesburg is going to get a goal kick on that one. Marissa Garn kind of picked up the ricochet from that swarm in front of the net, trying to get that cross, and she just tried to punt one in from about 25 yards away, but it didn't go in.
Yeah, she sailed it over the crossbar there, but the extra point would have been good. So,
of course, this is a football, soccer, track hybrid field, so the field goals still are present, along with the soccer nets. Ball still in midfield. I'd always wondered what would happen if they had like a hybrid football soccer game, and if you kicked a field goal in this game, you got 3 points. Waynesburg Central and Mount Pleasant playing in this girls' soccer game. Scores 2-1 in minute 57. And as that ball was going toward Mount Pleasant's third, Waynesburg Central fouls Mount Pleasant's Lexi Stanek. And it's going to be a free kick for Mount Pleasant. Ball's kicked back toward Waynesburg Central's third, and now the ball goes back and forth before it's brought down by Ray Kiowski. Ray Kiowski, who has 100 career goals, making her way toward the net. The shot goes through the hands of Tiffany Zelmore, and a goal scored by Ray Kiowski.
And once again, we talked about how Mackenzie Booth would want hers back. This one's even worse than that. When we take a look, this ball was just burning across the turf, and Tiffany Zelmore doesn't get down in front of the ball, and it just goes right under her fingertips and sails into the back corner of the net. So a tough break there for Mount Pleasant. It's now a 2-goal deficit again, and we just have under 23 minutes to go here in regulation time. So Mount Pleasant's got to get the offense going here really quick now.
That ball went in the lower right side of the net, and now Ray Kiowski has 101 career goals, and that one gives Waynesburg Central a 3-1 advantage over Mount Pleasant. And that goal was scored in the 58th minute. There are 22 minutes, 30 seconds left in regulation. Again, Waynesburg Central leads 3-1 over Mount Pleasant. Ball goes out of bounds down by the near sideline, and a throw-in by Hannah Kaczynski. Kaczynski, a couple passes later, the ball goes to Carson Rivardo. Rivardo over to Mackenzie Leader. The ball is attempted cross-in. That doesn't go through. The cross-in was attempted for Megan Liberoni, but Liberoni couldn't get there quickly enough. And it's going to be a goal kick for Waynesburg Central as the ball travels out of bounds on the left side of the net past the end line. So there's going to be the kick by Mackenzie Booth, the junior goalkeeper of Waynesburg Central. She decides to kick it from the right side of the net. And it's brought down by Mount Pleasant, but Waynesburg Central clears it immediately into midfield. Now the ball in midfield, Ray Kijalski. Ray Kijalski's pass over to Jillian Kijalski, and it's an attempted through ball now for Waynesburg Central down by the far sideline. A couple passes later, the pass intended for Ray Kijalski is picked up. Kijalski tries a shot from 25 yards away, but that is no good. It is picked up by Tiffany Zelmore, and Zelmore punts it toward the near side of the field. And now it's back in midfield. Waynesburg Central with possession for the moment. Ball still in midfield. Pass over to Megan Liberoni. Liberoni dribbling it now into Waynesburg Central's third. The through ball attempt to Megan Leader is intercepted, and Waynesburg Central picks it back up at its own third of the field. But that pass intercepted again by Megan Liberoni. Liberoni looking for some help in the middle of the field, but Waynesburg Central clears it toward midfield, goes toward the near sideline, and it's kicked back in by Mount Pleasant. Ball still on Waynesburg Central's third of the field. We're in minute 59 of this girls' soccer game between Mount Pleasant and Waynesburg Central. It's 3-1. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant. Ball's handled by Hannah Gazinski down by the near sideline. Gazinski attempted through ball is nowhere near anybody, and that's just going to roll on 3 hops to Mackenzie Booth, the goalkeeper of Waynesburg Central, and Booth is going to punt it away, and that's going to land 10 yards short of midfield. Mount Pleasant had it for a second, and now Mount Pleasant clears it back into Waynesburg Central's third of the field, but Waynesburg Central decides to clear it back into midfield. So now Mount Pleasant has it again, now in Waynesburg Central's third. It was Marissa Garn with an attempted shot from 40 yards away, and on one hop, Mackenzie Booth for Waynesburg Central saves it, and she'll punt it away back toward midfield. We're in minute 61 of this game. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant 3-1. You are listening to greensports.net simulcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, presented by First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County. Ball heads toward Mount Pleasant's goal, and it goes out of bounds. Off of Mount Pleasant, Waynesburg Central is going to get a throw-in from Waynesburg Central is going to get a corner kick from the far sideline. It's a quick pass. Attempted cross-in, misses. Nobody was able to head it. Goes out of bounds on the right side of the net on Mount Pleasant's side of the field. Past the end line, Waynesburg Central's going to get a goal kick. Mount Pleasant's going to get a goal kick. So 4 goals have been scored in this game total. Jillian Kijalski scored in the 8th minute off of a penalty kick. Jillian Kijalski scored again in the 34th minute right before halftime. Then to start this second half, Megan Liberoni scored in the 44th minute to make it 2-1. And then just a little bit ago, Ray Kijalski scored her 101st career goal in the 58th minute to make it 3-1. Waynesburg Central leading. Waynesburg Central has it in Mount Pleasant's territory now. It's Ashlyn Basinger with it. She passes it back to one of her midfielders. Now Waynesburg Central trying to score again. It's Ray Kijalski with another shot on net, but it is saved by Tiffany Zelmore of Mount Pleasant, and Zelmore will take it all the way to the 18, all the way to the limits of the box before punting it away toward midfield, and the ball's back in midfield. So no real clear possession for the last 10 minutes. Both of these teams have kept the ball around midfield and out of their thirds of the field. There's the Mount Pleasant third of the field, Waynesburg Central third of the field, and then the neutral zone around midfield. And a whistle blows as that ball was punted away by Tiffany Zelmore, the goalkeeper of Mount Pleasant. And according to the officials, there was a foul as that ball was in the air, so Waynesburg Central is going to get a free kick on Mount Pleasant's half of the field, but it's still around midfield in the neutral zone. 7:10 left in regulation of this game. Waynesburg Central leads 3-1. The ball was kicked away. It was attempted to be centered by Kaylee Pell, but that goes well too far away from any Waynesburg strikers or forwards, and it's picked up by Tiffany Zelmore, who kicks it back toward midfield and clears it. Still contested, but it's back in Mount Pleasant's side of the field. Still contested. Now Mount Pleasant kicks it away back toward midfield. And it's handled initially by Megan Liberoni, but Liberoni loses control of it. Now it's contested again. Waynesburg Central trying to move it back to its defensive side of the field, and now there's a whistle blown as the ball goes out of bounds on the near side, and according to the officials, went out of bounds on Waynesburg Central. So the throw-in by Mount Pleasant's Hannah Gazinski is immediately kicked away by Waynesburg Central's defense, and now the ball's back toward midfield. Now Mount Pleasant gets it back. Mount Pleasant dribbling toward Waynesburg Central's side. It was Cassidy Fullman for a second. Cassidy Fullman to Emily Pokelembo. Pokelembo can't hold on to it. Waynesburg Central's defense clears it back toward midfield. Now it's down by the far sideline. Waynesburg Central still has it. An attempted through ball is no good, and it's still in midfield now. It's up in the air. A couple kicks later, it lands in Mount Pleasant's territory. Waynesburg Central picks it up. Waynesburg Central shot by Jillian Kwiatkowski from 40 yards away is easily saved by Tiffany Zelmore, and Zelmore clears it back toward midfield. Ball contested now in midfield, back and forth. Now it's picked up. Mount Pleasant has a clear advantage. An attempted through ball from Megan Liberoni. It was Mackenzie Leader who was attempting a through ball to Megan Liberoni, but the goalkeeper, Mackenzie Booth for Waynesburg Central, thwarted that attack by Mount Pleasant, and the ball's kicked back toward midfield. Ball's on the far sideline now, by the far sideline. Waynesburg Central with possession. Now a cross over to the near sideline is picked up by Ashlyn Basinger, but Basinger can't hold on to it. It's back toward midfield, and now the kick by Waynesburg Central is kicked back by Mount Pleasant. Back and forth. Waynesburg Central kicks it back to Mount Pleasant's territory. Mount Pleasant's defense picks it up. No Waynesburg Central attackers in the area, but now one runs up. Aaron Fitch almost had it for a second, but Mount Pleasant then again kicked it back toward midfield. And now there's a breakaway. Here comes the shot by Ray Kwiatkowski. Kwiatkowski had a breakaway for a second. It was mishandled by the Mount Pleasant defense, but Kwiatkowski kicks it over the crossbar, well over the crossbar, goes out of bounds. And the result, why that ball went so far over the crossbar, is because it hit off the Mount Pleasant goalkeeper, Tiffany Zelmore. And Waynesburg Central is going to be awarded a goal kick from the near side of the field. Jillian Kwiatkowski takes the corner kick. The attempted cross-in is headed up in the air and lands past the net, past the end line. No goal, and Mount Pleasant will not get a goal kick. According to the officials, it was last headed off of a Mount Pleasant defender. So Jillian Kwiatkowski will once again kick it from the near side corner. Another attempted cross-in, and it's off the hands of Tiffany Zelmore. Ball still loose. Tiffany Zelmore falls on it, as does three of the Mount Pleasant defenders. The ball does not go in the net. It is a save for Zelmore, and Mount Pleasant's going to get a goal kick. 13 minutes and 10 seconds left in regulation of this girls' soccer game. Mount Pleasant is trailing Waynesburg Central 3-1.
And a great play there by Zelmore on that breakaway that had Kwiatkowski coming in, or Kwiatkowski, coming in. She was, Kwiatkowski was all in space, had it all to herself, and at the last second, Zelmore kind of just popped up and was able to stick her leg out and knock the ball away in time. So a great play there by Zelmore to keep it at a 2-goal game.
Zelmore gave up one goal to a penalty kick, but the other two were true goals. One from Jillian Kwiatkowski and the other from Ray Kwiatkowski, the Kwiatkowski sisters. The only two to score in this game, and Jillian has two of the three goals for Waynesburg Central. The lone goal scored by Mount Pleasant was by Megan Liberoni in the 44th minute, so in this half. But that's been it. Waynesburg Central has been strong all game. Ball's in Waynesburg Central's third, but the defense has control of it and clears it toward midfield. Ball kicked back by Mount Pleasant. The ball's still contested, but it's in Waynesburg Central's third of the field. Megan Liberoni tried a through ball, but Waynesburg Central thwarts the attack and kicks it back toward the near sideline. Here's Ray Kwiatkowski. Ray Kwiatkowski finds some space, heads toward midfield, kicks it back. Ball's in midfield now, in the middle of the field, now to the far sideline. Goes Waynesburg Central's attackers again. Ball's off of a Mount Pleasant defender, so the ball goes out of bounds. Waynesburg Central will get a throw in from the far sideline. Ball thrown in, but it's off of a Mount Pleasant defender, and Mount Pleasant's defense is going to gain control. But Waynesburg Central's there. The attack continues. The ball's centered in front of the net. It went off of the foot of Aaron Fitch. He just tried to touch it, but it was a little bit too hard. It was a poor touch. And it goes to Tiffany Zelmore, who kicks it and clears it back toward midfield. Ball's in the air now on Mount Pleasant's side after the kick by a Waynesburg Central midfielder. But again, Tiffany Zelmore picks it up in the box and kicks it back toward midfield again. 11 minutes left. In half number 2, it's 3-1. Waynesburg Central leads Mount Pleasant. Ball's in midfield now, and Waynesburg Central's back third is just going to kick it around and move the ball well, keeping it off the feet of Mount Pleasant, who's down by 2 goals. It's almost like a strategy within 10 minutes of a half, within 10 minutes of the game ending, is to play keep away, almost preventing the team that's down from keeping the ball at all and scoring. Waynesburg Central's defense continues to play keep away, and there's the punt as the defenders kicked it all the way back to Mackenzie Booth, who just cleared it back toward midfield.
They were playing with fire there, unfortunately, though, Nick, because the Mount Pleasant attackers were coming right at her. She barely got that kick away before they could get on her. So if you're going to play keep away, better be a little careful doing it if you're Waynesburg.
Mackenzie Liberoni attempted through ball to Mackenzie Leader. Leader has it. Shot is in the net right through the center of the net. Goal scored by Mount Pleasant.
And there you see a miscommunication between the Waynesburg defenders and the Waynesburg goalkeeper. They're trying to keep the ball away from Mount Pleasant. Everyone goes for it, but no one ever calls the ball, so they just keep rolling, and eventually Mackenzie Leader pounces on the loose ball and just kicks it into the open cage. And just like that, it's a 1-goal game again. So this game is far from over, Nick, but it's going to be interesting to see how this game finishes going down in the home stretch here.
Mackenzie Leader made a nice finesse move on the goalkeeper, Mackenzie Booth. Booth tried to come out and pounce on the ball and try to pick it up, but Leader kicked it left and then shot it right through the middle of the net and scored the second goal for Mount Pleasant. It's 3-2. Waynesburg Central still leads Mount Pleasant in the 70th minute. Ball now kicked and a shot. Goal by Waynesburg Central. Well, hold on. So the kick from the middle of the field, Waynesburg Central had clear possession. There was a throw-in down on the far sideline on Mount Pleasant's third of the field, and Waynesburg Central just scored within 10 seconds of Mount Pleasant scoring.
Waynesburg goal scored by number 2, Ashlyn Basinger.
And Ashlyn Basinger will get credit for that one. Just once, and Nick, that just takes the air out of the balloon for Mount Pleasant there. You just saw, they just get it, they get the momentum going, they get back within 1 goal. You think things are going to go their way now, and then that happens. A miscommunication, and now Ashlyn Basinger puts it into the open net, and it's a 2-goal game again. I think that one might be the one to do it.
Ashlyn Basinger, a freshman, and the daughter of head coach Greg Basinger. And again, within 10 seconds of each other, both teams score, but Waynesburg Central keeps the advantage up by 2 goals. Now it's 4-2. Waynesburg Central continuing an attack. An attempted through ball goes to Ashlyn Basinger down by the far sideline, but that ball goes out of bounds near the flag, near the corner, but not quite. It's going to be a throw-in for Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant throw-in down by that far sideline is intercepted by Basinger of Waynesburg Central, but it stays out of bounds. And that's another strategy by teams who are up late in games in this girls' soccer game, is to push the ball out of bounds, and when the ball goes out of bounds, more time is chewed off the clock because they've got to replace the ball, they've got to get ready to throw it in. And of course, it is a different game when the team's down by 2 compared to down by 1, as obvious as that sounds. Here's Mount Pleasant with a drive. Mount Pleasant heading toward the net on a breakaway shot is off the hands of Mackenzie Booth. The shot was by Mackenzie Leader. Leader already has 1 goal in this game. Leader still has possession near the far sideline, shoots it from nearly 15 yards out, but that one goes above the crossbar, past the end line, out of bounds. Waynesburg Central's Mackenzie Booth is going to get a goal kick.
And what a great chance there for Mackenzie Leader. She's going down the far side. She's got a little bit of a step, but the Waynesburg defense was closing in on her, so she tries to get the shot away as quickly as she can, and Mackenzie Booth stands her ground and makes the save and keeps it at a 2-goal game.
Waynesburg Central leads this girls' soccer game 4-2 with 7.5 minutes left in regulation. You are listening to WPIAL Girls Soccer on greensports.net, simulcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, brought to you by First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County. Ball's on Waynesburg Central's side of the field. A free kick was just awarded, it's going to be a throw-in from the far side of the field. Throw-in goes off the hands of Mackenzie Booth. Coming up to attempt to capitalize was Mackenzie Leader, and as her right foot went up toward the ball, Mackenzie Booth, the goalkeeper of Waynesburg Central, snatched it out of the air. And Mackenzie Leader's down on the field. The officials signal for a stoppage in play because of the injured Mackenzie Leader. She kicked that ball hard, and it really hurts. It puts a strain on your leg whenever you kick something that isn't there, whenever you just kick at the air.
When she took the kick, and it was a good stop there originally by the goalkeeper Booth for Waynesburg, and she almost mishandled it at first. It kind of popped up back up in the air, but she was able to corral the rebound. So a big something avoided there.
Substitution in the game. Mackenzie Leader's out due to injury. And in the game for Mount Pleasant, well, we'll let you know. It's Natalie Miller. Mount Pleasant attacking. Or as Waynesburg Central attacking, ball goes out of bounds on the end line. It's going to be a corner kick for Waynesburg Central down by the far side. 6:20 left on the clock. Waynesburg Central up 4-2 over Mount Pleasant in this girls' soccer game. Attempted corner kick for Waynesburg Central, already up 2 points late in this game. Corner kick's an attempted cross-in, but it goes short and on one hop. Tiffany Zelmore slides and makes the save. Now it's punted toward midfield. And contested again. It's around the middle of the field. Mount Pleasant inching its way toward Waynesburg Central's third of the field, but Waynesburg Central kicks it back toward midfield. Ball goes back and forth on a couple kicks before it goes out of bounds down on the far sideline. Waynesburg Central gets a throw-in. Throw-in from the far sideline is off the chest of Mount Pleasant, one of the Mount Pleasant players. Now the ball is contested again before Mackenzie Leader picks it up, and an attempted through ball down the far sideline. And an attempted shot by Emily Poklembo. Misses off the right side of the net, goes out of bounds past the end line, and Waynesburg Central will get a goal kick. We're in minute 75 of this soccer game between Waynesburg Central and Mount Pleasant. This is a girls' soccer game. This is a Class 2A Section 3 girls' soccer matchup. Waynesburg Central is in 5th place with a 4-4 section record, and Mount Pleasant is in 3rd place with a 6-3 section record. So the only team with a bye this week is South Allegheny. There are 7 teams in the section because Dairy Area no longer has a program, at least for this year. But South Park is playing at Southmoreland today. Game started at 7, and then Yawk is the first place team playing against Brownsville, the 4th place team. That game started at 7:30. So the ball was contested a little bit around midfield, and then a foul was called on Waynesburg Central, so a free kick awarded to Marissa Garn on Waynesburg Central's side of the field. It's about 10 yards away from midfield. In the 76th minute now, Garn kicks it toward the middle of the field, and Waynesburg Central's third of the field. A shot attempted by Mount Pleasant is caught by Mackenzie Booth, the goalkeeper for Waynesburg Central, preventing that one from going in.
Shot popped up in the air, and Booth did a great job just staying with it. She didn't really lose track of the ball, able to get up with 2 hands and make the catch above her head and keep the ball out of the net.
It was Emily Poklembo, the one who shot the ball for Mount Pleasant. Anyway, the ball's back in midfield. Now Mount Pleasant slightly tries to move it into Waynesburg Central's third, but there was a through ball passed by Hannah Zimmerman that went too far away, too far past the end line, out of bounds, and Waynesburg Central is going to get another goal kick. And now we've reached the 77th minute of play. That means there's 3 minutes left in regulation. Waynesburg Central leads 4-2 over Mount Pleasant. Goalkeeper Mackenzie Booth will boot it away after the free kick. Goes about 40 yards, and it's picked up by Mount Pleasant. There's Sophia Ganofsky. Ganofsky's pass intercepted, and Waynesburg Central's defense just clears it away down by that near sideline. It's picked up by Waynesburg Central midfielder Ashlyn Basinger. Basinger can't do much with it, though, as the ball's contested again in midfield. Here's Ganofsky now for Mount Pleasant. Ganofsky loses it immediately. It's picked up by Waynesburg Central's defense, and Waynesburg Central clears it back into midfield, but it's picked up by Marissa Garn, who can't get a good hold on it. Now Waynesburg Central midfielders dribble it closer to Mount Pleasant's third of the field. It's cross midfield now, still in the middle of the field. There's Basinger, who tries for the through ball that's intercepted by the defender Hannah Gazinski. Gazinski kicks it back toward midfield. Waynesburg Central, though, back on the attack. Here comes Kylie Sin. Sin dribbling it toward the far sideline. Now Sin. A through ball attempt. Here comes Waynesburg Central further into Mount Pleasant's side of the field. An attempted cross in is shot and goal! Waynesburg Central's Aaron Fitch, the junior midfielder, scores a goal on the bottom left corner of the net, and Waynesburg Central with 5 goals now over Mount Pleasant, 5-2 in minute 58.
And what a great setup there by Waynesburg Central, able to work the ball from the far side towards the middle of the field, and a great kick there by Aaron Fitch. The goalkeeper Zelmore was moving from right to left, couldn't really stop herself, and of course Fitch goes the opposite way with her kick, and just like that, it's now a 5-2 lead for Waynesburg.
Ball back in midfield. We're in the 58th minute. Roughly 2 minutes left in regulation. The overall series between these two teams since Mount Pleasant joined Class 2A Section 3 is 1-2. These two teams split the series last year at 1-1 in 2018. In 2019, Mount Pleasant beat Waynesburg Central on September the 16th. But here on October 7th, it's a 3-goal game with about a minute left in regulation. Waynesburg Central is on top of this game. Mount Pleasant has it in Waynesburg Central's third of the field. The defense for Waynesburg Central collapsing a little bit, but not very much. Waynesburg Central clears that away. It's back toward midfield. Ball's in midfield, under a minute left now in this game. This is minute 80, and it's a 3-point game. Mount Pleasant keeping it in Waynesburg Central's side, but Waynesburg Central able to clear it back toward midfield. Ball's in midfield now, and a quick foul called on Mount Pleasant. Waynesburg Central will get a free kick from around midfield on Mount Pleasant's side, but Mount Pleasant thwarts that immediately as it was kicked toward Mount Pleasant's territory. Now 15 seconds left in regulation. The ball goes out of bounds off Mount Pleasant, so the throw-in coming from Waynesburg Central. Brianna Banky throws it in, but Mount Pleasant clears it toward midfield. 5 seconds left. Waynesburg Central has it, and that is how the game will end in Waynesburg Central's third of the field. The clock expires, and that will yield the final score. Waynesburg Central 5, Mount Pleasant 2 in this WPIAL girls soccer game.
Yeah, and a great job by Waynesburg Central. They got it going here early in the game. They had the great start, obviously, going up 2-0 in the first half, and they got their goals when it mattered. You know, they got the early lead, and they just ran with it the whole time. Mount Pleasant, they were able to get a little bit of offense going, but unfortunately they couldn't culminate it all whenever they needed to, and that's why Waynesburg's walking away with the victory here.
Waynesburg Central defeats Mount Pleasant. Final score 5-2. We'll have a quick pregame show or quick postgame show coming up for you after this break. You're listening to greensports.net, simulcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, presented by First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County.
Wayne Lumber and Supply is your hometown commercial and residential construction store. Whether it's hanging a picture, fixing a sink, remodeling the bathroom, or building a house, they've got you covered. Paints and plumbing, rakes and roofing, wiring and windows, lattice and lumber. If you need it, they've got it. Wayne Lumber and Supply. Over 70 years of quality products and friendly service. Call 724-627-3171. Wayne Lumber and Supply in Waynesburg.
Burns Tire Service in Waynesburg is a proud supporter of high school athletics. Burns can set you up with the best name brand tires like Firestone, BF Goodrich, Michelin, and Uniroyal. Plus, they offer full automotive service. Burns Tire is your one-stop shop for all of your vehicle needs. Find Burns Tire on Facebook. Burns Tire Service, South Moore Street in Waynesburg. Call 724-627-8473. Good luck to all the Greene County high school athletes from Burns Tire in Waynesburg.
Stress and emotions are at a peak when you experience the death of a friend or family member. Funeral details and arrangements shouldn't be an additional burden. That's why Kesterson Rush Funeral Home invites you to ask questions now. They can help you understand the options you have available for planning in advance. Whether you choose to make decisions now or just want to know more about it, the caring professionals at Kesterson Rush Funeral Home in Rogersville will answer your questions. Kesterson Rush Funeral Home is a proud sponsor of West Greene High School sports.
Did you know that 300,000 people in southwestern Pennsylvania are food insecure, including nearly 80,000 children? Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank is here to meet this need. Through school breakfast and lunch, backpack, and summer food programs, the food bank's mission is to end hunger in our region. To learn more information, get help, or donate, call 412-460-FOOD or visit pittsburghfoodbank.org. Let's come together to make sure no child goes to bed hungry.
This WPIAL Class 2A Section 3 girls soccer game has concluded. Mount Pleasant was the visiting team. Waynesburg Central was the home team. In the final score, Waynesburg Central 5, Mount Pleasant 2.
And our player of the game is going to be awarded to Jillian Kiowski, who turned in 2 goals in the first half and finished with 2 as well. But all in all, I think Jillian really controlled the offense tonight. She was definitely one of the main catalysts for this Waynesburg Central soccer team. And now you see why she's a UNC Charlotte commit. She's definitely controlled the pace of the offense tonight for her team, and that's why she's walking away with our player of the game.
You heard it there. Jillian Kiowski, the McCracken Pharmacy player of the game. Jillian Kiowski scored in the 8th minute on a penalty kick and scored one more time in the 34th minute. She had 2 goals today. Megan Liberoni, 44th minute goal for Mount Pleasant in the second half, made it 2-1. Then Ray Kiowski, the sister of Jillian Kiowski, scored her 101st high school career goal in the 58th minute. Then Mackenzie Leader, 70th minute goal, made it 3-2, and that was with 10 minutes left. Ashlyn Basinger, also with 10 minutes left, within 10 seconds of the Mackenzie Leader goal, scored, made it 4-2, and then Aaron Fitch, with about 8 minutes left in the game, or with about 2 minutes left in the game, scored the 5th goal for Waynesburg Central, and that is how we reached the 5-2 result. Waynesburg Central girls soccer will play again on October the 9th. That's this Thursday against South Allegheny. And as for Mount Pleasant, the next game for Mount Pleasant will be against South Park this Thursday. Both Waynesburg Central and Mount Pleasant have yet to play South Park, the team that is in second place. And like we said, the standings could have been shaken up tonight and now have been shaken up with Mount Pleasant losing to Waynesburg Central.
Absolutely. It's going to be a totally different playoff picture here. We're still waiting to see the result from the other game with Brownsville. I forget who they were playing tonight. They were the 4th place team. We're still waiting to see the results of those games, so we can definitely wait to see how that's all going to play out. It's going to be very interesting here as we get down into the home stretch here. Both these teams with now Waynesburg Central has 3 games to go, of course, and Mount Pleasant has 2 games left. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out for these 2 teams here in the remaining weeks.
The game you were thinking about, York versus Brownsville, and the other game, South Park playing Southmoreland and South Allegheny getting the bye today. But that's going to do it for Nolan Porterfield. I'm Nicholas Callas. You've been listening to greensports.net, simulcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, presented by First Federal Savings and Loan of Greene County.